We are working in 7-2 today. We're doing the lesson quiz. In 7-1, we were talking about adding and subtracting polynomials, and we have moved on to multiplying polynomials. So we are going to go through two different ways that you can multiply polynomials. The most common, I think, is FOIL, but I know there's also the box method. So I'm going to solve all of these problems using both, just so that depending on which strategy you like, you'll be able to make sure that you're doing it correctly. So in number one, they want us to find the product. Something like this, you're simply distributing. And keep in mind, when you are multiplying, you are going to take your coefficients, meaning the number in front of the variable, and you're going to multiply that like you normally would multiply numbers. And then when it gets to the variables, when you're multiplying two bases that are exactly the same, you're going to add those exponents together. So I'm going to show you what I mean in number one. So they want us to multiply. We're going to find the product. So I'm going to start with just multiplying -3 and -4. -3 times -4, it's a negative times a negative, means a positive. So that's going to give me positive 12. Then I have y squared and y cubed. And since they both have the same base of y, I'm going to add those exponents together and get y to the 5th. Okay, I'm done with that first term. Now I'm going to distribute -3y squared to the second term of y. -3 times 1, it looks like y doesn't have a coefficient, but it is actually 1. So -3 times 1 is -3. Then I have y squared times y, which would be y cubed, because we're taking 2 plus 1 and adding them together to get 3. And then we're going to move on to -9. So -3 times -9 is positive 27. There is no y with my -9, so it's just going to stay y squared. And that's how you would do number one. Now in number two, you'll notice that we have two groups of binomials, and this is where I'm going to show you FOIL as well as the box method. So let's just quickly talk about what FOIL represents. So FOIL, we take the first letter of each, or take the word and take each letter, and that represents a word. So FOIL represents first. O is going to be for outside. I is inside. And L is last. So when we say first, that means the first term in each binomial. So we're going to be doing 7x times 5x, which is 35x squared. Again, you multiply 7 times 5 is 35, and x times x, you would add those exponents together and get x squared. Now I'm going to move to my outside terms. So it kind of did, let me show you visually. We did red first. Okay, now we're going to move on to blue, which is my outside terms. And we're going to do 7x times -11. So 7 times -11 is -77. And the x just stays the same. So those are my outside terms. Then we're going to move to the inside terms. So inside terms mean I'm done with using that 7x, and I'm going to move to the 2. So 2 and 5x. So 2 times 5x, 2 times 5 is 10. And the x stays the same. And then lastly, I'm going to do my outside, my last terms, and I've got 2 times -11. So 2 times -11 is going to be -22. And let me just underline it so you can see those are all those numbers. So that's multiplying using FOIL. And then we're just going to combine those middle terms. So combine things that look the same. There's no other x squared term, so it's 35x squared. You can see that I have two x terms in the middle, so that's -67x, and then -22 would stay the same because there's no other numbers. Let me show you what that would look like with the box method. So let's draw some nice straight lines over here. And I'm going to need 2 columns and 2 rows because each of my groups has two terms. So I'm going to put one of the binomials on top and one binomial on the side, and it doesn't matter which one. So let me change my pen back. We've got 7x and +2, and then I've got 5x and -11. Again, if you put it on the top or on the side, it doesn't matter. Just make sure one set goes on top and one set goes to the side. And then in each of these boxes, I'm going to be multiplying. So I'm multiplying the same way that I did before. I'm just the box method is a nice way of organizing your numbers and kind of making sure that you're multiplying correctly. So this, you're just filling in the boxes. 7 times 5 is 35. X times X is X squared. From here, it doesn't matter what direction you go. You just want all the boxes filled in. 5x times 2 is 10x. Negative 11 times 7x is negative 77x. And then negative 11 and 2 is negative 22. So you can see you're just looking for where they meet, the numbers meet, and there you're going to put the answer. And the same thing, you're going to look for things that look the same. So here's my X terms. You want to make sure you combine them and your answer will look like the one I had before. And looking at my answer choices, not A, 35x squared. So it looks like it's going to be letter B. Letter D wouldn't work because it has the wrong signs. Okay, so letter D. Okay, moving on to number 3, they're actually asking us to use the box method. So let me clear what we've done already. And they've set up the box method for us. So all we're doing is filling in the boxes. So we're using multiplication. Remember to multiply your coefficient first and then add your exponents. So 6 times 1 is 6. And then x times x squared is x cubed. X squared times 3 would just be 3x squared. Then I've got 6x times negative 4x. That's going to give me negative 24x squared. 3 times negative 4x would be negative 12x. 6x times 4 is 24x. And then 3 times 4 is 12. And if you were to combine these, they actually give you the answer right below. So again, the box method is just a really nice way to organize your multiplication. Sometimes with the FOIL method, you kind of think, wait, did I multiply this? Did I do that? What order should I go in? And with the box method, it's just literally filling in each box. In number 4, I'm going to use FOIL and the box method again. So I'm going to start with FOIL. I'm going to do 3x squared times 6x squared. And let me just kind of show you with my colors again. So 3x squared times 6x squared, 3 times 6 is 18. X squared would be x to the 4th. Then I'm going to move on, still using that 3x squared, but I'm going to go to negative 4x now. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. X squared times x is x cubed. And then I'm going to move from 3x squared to 5. So 3 times 5 is 15. And then just x squared. I'm done. I've multiplied everything in the second group by 3x squared. So now I'm skipping to the 7. And I'm going to do 7 times 6x squared, which is going to be 42x squared. Then I'm going to do 7 times negative 4x. 7 times negative 4x is negative 28x. And then I'm going to do my last one. I'm running out of colors here. Let's do this light blue. 7 times 5 is going to be plus 35. And then I'm just looking for things that I can combine. So I've got 18x to the 4th, that's alone. And I've got minus 12x cubed, that's alone. Now I can combine my squared though. So that's going to give me 4757. So plus 57x squared. Those are done. And then my x and the number on its own, I don't need to combine anything. So minus 28x and plus 35. Let me show you what this would look like if you use the box method. So I have one that has 2 terms, one that has 3. So I'm going to need to make sure that I either have 2 columns and 3 rows or 3 columns and 2 rows. It doesn't matter how you set it up. Just make sure you have 2 one way and 3 the other way. So I've got 2 columns here, and then I've got 3 rows. So my 2 columns, the ones going up and down, are going to be for my 2 terms, 3x squared and 7. And then my rows are going to be for my 3 terms, 6x squared. Then I've got negative 4x and I've got 5. And the goal is just to fill in these boxes. So look for what intersects in the box. So the first one would be 6x squared and 3x squared. That's 18x to the 4th. Again, doesn't matter what order. So I'm just going to go to the right. 6x squared times 7 is 42x squared. Going to the next row, negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. X times x squared is x cubed. Negative 4 times 7 is negative 28, and there's just an x there. At the bottom, we've got 15x squared because we multiplied 3 times 5 and got 15. And lastly, 35. And you'll notice all of the numbers are the same. So you can see that this is going to work regardless of what you do. You just want to make sure you pick a strategy that works best for you. And then when you go to write your answer, just make sure, again, you're going to need to combine your x squareds. Okay, lastly, we've got a word problem. So let me clear all of this. And it says a portrait without its frame has a height 1.5 times its width. So here is our portrait. We've got our width W, and it says the height is 1.5 W. Then it says the width of the frame is 3 inches. So we've got a frame that goes around this. Just going to go right through there. So we've got the portrait inside and then the frame, and it says the width of the frame is 3 inches. So on this side, it adds an additional 3 inches. Over here, it adds an additional 3 inches. Up top, it adds 3 inches. And on the bottom, it adds 3 inches. Which of the following is an expression for the area? So area means length times width. Or in this case, they used, did they use length and width? They said height and width. So let me, instead of using length, I'm going to use the word height. Same idea. So first, let's figure out what the height is. Well, we know that it's 1.5 W, and that represents just the picture, so kind of just right here. But as you can see, there's more to it when we add the frame. So we've got this piece up here, which we know is 3, and we've got this piece right here, which is 3. So when we're talking about our height, that's like saying your height equals 1.5 W plus 3 inches on the bottom, plus 3 inches on the top. So that's like saying 1.5 W plus 6. So that would be my height. Well, let's talk about the width now. So we've got our width of just W right here. So your width equals W, but then you've also got your 3 inches over here, so plus 3, and your 3 inches over here, plus 3. So what we're actually saying is that your width is W plus 6. In order to find our answer, we're going to be multiplying. So we're going to take 1.5 W plus 6 times W plus 6. I will again do it in both forms. So with FOIL, we would do 1.5 W times W, which is 1.5 W squared. 1.5 W times 6, well, 1.5 times 6 is going to be 9. The W stands alone. 6 times W is just 6W. And then my last number is 36. And when we add these together, I get 1.5 W squared plus 15W plus 36. Let's do our box method. So there's 2 terms in each. So I need 2 rows and 2 columns. So there's my 2 rows. There's my 2 columns. It doesn't matter where you put each binomial. I'm going to say 1.5 W goes up top with the number 6, and on the left is W and 6. And I'm going to go ahead and multiply them. 1.5 W squared, 6W, 9W, 36. So it's the same numbers that we got before, and you just want to make sure that you add together those middle terms to get your final answer. And our final answer would be letter D. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great day.